Hello everyone, it is Alisa here and I am jumping in real quick, spontaneously to do a little bit of colouring with you. I'm just making sure that I am indeed live and I'm in the right spot. Yep, I can see myself there. Now, the reason why I'm jumping in live is Mary Dunn, hello, asked me if I had a good starting point for beginner learners, and it made me realize that whilst I do have quite a few videos on YouTube, sometimes I need to come back to beginners myself. I've gone beyond beginners and that's what I'm trying to always improve on, but I forget that we do have beginners. So let me zoom in. Let me get to where I like to create because I'll be sitting. So I'm just going to zoom in. So we're just going to color one of the images from the St. Nick stamp set. And it's the basic beginners, so there's nothing, I'm not going to be doing anything crazy or anything like that. We are just going to be, let me just bring up so I can see comments on my other, figure out how to get my comments. All right, hey Wendy. Awesome. Okay, so I have stamped first in Memento. So if you are beginner, and I need to go right back to the beginning. So Memento black is the black that I stamp in. It is a water-based. So our markers are alcohol, and I like to sort of describe the opposites attract. It's Paula Abdul who sang the song Opposites Attract. Remember, she had that crazy cartoon character with her. I'm pretty sure I remember mentioning it in a video once before, thinking I know there's a song out there. Paula Abdul. Opposites attract. So we want water-based with our alcohol markers, which means, and I'm really zoomed in, so sorry about that, you can't even see what I am doing. So being water-based means that we can actually use any of our Stampin' Up! Water-based colours. You don't have to stamp in black. You can actually stamp in a colour if you wish. Okay, so I will pop that aside. Now I'm going to start off with my real red. And the other thing that I have learnt along my travels is that we want, our markers have got the ink pigment in them, the colour, but it's also got a solvent in them. And we want our paper to remain as wet as we can so that the solvents within these barrels can actually do the work and spread and blend the colours. So what I'm going to do is I've just got one of those acetate sheets that we get from our photopolymer stamp sets, and I've kept them all. So I'm just going to pop that underneath, and so rather than having my cardstock on a stack of grid paper or something like that, I'm actually going to pop it on the plastic so that it allows the paper to remain, the cardstock to remain a little bit on the wet side so that all our blending can take place. And the other thing is that I am just using, I've just pulled it out of my scrap. I think it's either basic white or basic white thick. It doesn't matter. Either is okay to use for these. Okay, so let me make sure I'm in screen. So I'm going to have to keep standing up and sitting down because I'm really zoomed in, and apologies for my fingernails as well. Okay, so I'm going to start off with my real red, and I'm just going to be doing two colors. I'm not going anything fancy. So I've got my dark and I've got my light. Now, one thing I will point out before I get started is that we can actually layer a single color. So if I do, that's one layer of the dark real red, and my nibs are starting to get a little bit funky as well. So, and then if I put a second layer over the top of it, you'll see here, hopefully you can see that that area there is darker than this area here. So you can actually build up your own, like build up the colors. This area will stay darker, then we've got a mid, and then we've got a lighter. But if you can, so I'll be using a little bit of that sort of thing as we're going along. So, hello, okay, Paula Abdul, yes. I can't figure out how to see the comments properly on my iPad, so I am just going to soldier on. If there are questions or anything like that, I will probably come back when we have finished the light. Oh, now I can sort of half see them, but anyway, on my screen they're a bit different. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do all my red bits first. So I will come down, and the artist has given us a few little drawing lines. So I'm going to concentrate my first lot of red just around, and I'm just using very, very light flicks. And I'm trying to be very gentle on that nib. Now we know that Stampin' Up! Nibs can get a little bit furry. I'm hoping that in the background they are working on this. I'm really, really hoping. But in the meantime, these ones are getting close to being replaced, but I have actually got a video, I'll pop it in the group again just to refresh everyone's memory on how to change the nibs. I know it's naughty, how to change the nibs to a different brand of markers so that we can continue to love our blends. Okay, so I've got my first layer, and continuing on with my dark, I am just going to go over the top of what I have already done and then just extend that down a little bit. So over the top, and by going over the top of what I have already done, re-wets it and helps with that bit of blending process. Okay, this one doesn't have a lot because it's only a small side. I think I need to come a little bit closer in there. Okay, now this is the point where I'm going to switch to my light blend, my real red light, and I'm going to go over the top of everything I've done again, just to help wet all that ink again. And then I'm just going to go over the top, backwards and forwards. All right, now you can see I have a bit of a mark there. So I'm going to just let that sit for a moment, come over to the other side, fill that in. Okay, just gently around the edges there. Okay, now if we flip over, we can see that on the back side I've got a little bit of ink happening here, but in the middle here where my light red is, it's very pale. So it hasn't sunk into the card a whole lot. So I'm going to come over and I'm just going to do another layer of my light over that area. Okay, and just a little bit on the edge there. Okay, super easy. Now I'm going to come and I'm going to do the shoulder, his arm. So again, I'm just going to let it sit for a bit, come in with a second go and extend it a little bit further. And then I can come in with the light, go over everything I've done, and then fill in the area. Okay, and now I reckon I can, because we've got tiny, tiny little details, I'm actually going to fill in the rest of his sleeve with a bullet tip. There's only a tiny bit there, and there's only a tiny bit on his hat. So these areas I tend not to give them, oh, ow, just pinch my skin then. I give them, you know, they don't need a whole heap of going over. Now I think there may be a tiny teensy weensy bit of red just under there, I think. I actually don't know whether I've coloured that in any of my other sand. Oh yes, I have. I was going to say, I don't know whether I did in any of my other Santas. Okay, so that is, oh, and I got to do his mittens. I'm doing his mittens in red as well, just to keep everything, you know, rather than switching things around. I could do them in black, but I'm just going to do them in red. So, and I'll use my bullet tip for this one as well, just because they are small. So, and I still use flicking motions. Like I don't colour like a texter. I still flick, and then I can colour in that one. And that one the light I sort of do swish over. Whoops. And then this one here, so flick, flick, flick. and fill in the rest over the top of what we've done, and fill in the rest. And don't think he's got a thumb there. Tell you what, I think I need to get, oh, I know I've been keeping saying, I think I need to get my eyes done again. All right, so that's my red done. Next I'll come in with my black, and I'm just going to use the bullet tip again for this one down here because it is on the smaller side as well. I'm just going to pop some lines in just where there might be a little bit of shadowing around the heel area and the sole and there, because if we go too much with the dark, oh my goodness, this has been happening to me an awful lot. I don't know whether you've seen that. It's been happening to me quite a bit. Oh, happened with my purple one too. It's driving me nuts. All right, and then over the top of the black, and we're just going to fill in that area. So you do lose a fair bit of detail when you colour in with black. But if I do have a stepped up, if you've done the basics and you want to learn a bit more, then I do have a class on St. Nick at the moment, which will take you through. I teach you a couple of different techniques. I've gone into underpainting in that one, and also some pencil highlighting and detail work. Okay, I'll grab my yellow. So these ones I have changed the nibs on these ones to the other brand of marker nibs. So again, we're just going to pop down. And the good thing about, I shouldn't say the good thing, when I've switched the nibs over, I can actually then come up onto the point of my nibs. Like I'm not stuck using the Stampin' Up nib that frays very quickly. This one is the Stampin' Up nib and it is starting to fray already. And you have to be very gentle because they're so soft. Okay, and then there's lots of tiny boxes around. So I'm just going to pop some of the dark around the edges. I can actually see. You might want to switch to your bullet tip in this, in these ones, because they're just so small. Just going around the edges. One more. Super tiny. Oh, I think I just coloured in the ribbon. That's okay. Whoops, have I frozen? Nope. Okay, and then I'm just going to fill in with the, actually, you know what, I'm going to they are that small, I'm going to come in with my bullet tip and go over what I've done and fill in the gap. Over what I've done, fill in the gap. So there's a tiny little bit of light and shade going on in some of these. Now what you can do as well is then just come in with your dark again, and you can just go over those areas where they would be dark, like underneath the box, near his hand, up the side a little bit. And because your card is hopefully still nice and wet, because we've got that acetate underneath, they will blend together nicely and you won't have to come in with the, sorry guys, I struggle to talk and colour in at the same time. You won't have to come in with the light again. That'll just do its thing because you've got all those solvents racing around in there. Okay, I've used pecan pie. Oops, let me just finish off his, let me finish off the gifts. I'll do a little bit of work on the, a little bit of Old Olive. And I'm not going to spend too much time on them. They are far too small to be fussing around. just chucking some colour down, and then I'll go over with my light. Wendy says it's 10:30 p.m. Wow, of course, because I'm coming in late. That's probably why no one is up and watching. Everyone from the US is in bed. All right, it'll be here for the morning anyway. Okay, we'll do his little pouch and his sash. So again, I was colouring the other day, and my orange, my pumpkin pie, the lid, the barrel came apart and the whole core fell out and onto my work. I was so upset because it splattered everywhere. It's like, man, really? Okay, just tiny pieces, working with my bullet tip, light and dark. These ones, like I said, they're so small. Okay, I'm just going to use some ivory for his skin. You can use whatever shade you like, but because he's not got a whole lot of face going on there, there's not a lot of skin, I'm just going to throw in some ivory just so that he's not stark. And then we'll grab some Smoky Slate Light and our colourless blender, our colour lifter, and one end. Just going to add a little bit around the trim. And a little bit around his cuffs. Now I'm going to come in with the colour lifter and just go over the top of that. And that will, because this is just purely solvent, so that will remove and lighten the colour of that marker. Okay, and then we've got his moustache and his beard and his hair, so I'm just going to dot some colours and do some squiggle lines, because we do want it white, we just want it not stark white. Okay, and then what I can do again is just do that same, and I'm just going to dot on the colourless lifter. The colour, yeah, that's what it is, colour lifter. I don't know why I'm calling it that. Okay, so there is the very, very basic version, the beginner version of colouring in our Saint Nick. If you are at this stage already, or if you think, okay, I've mastered that now, I would like to go to the next step, and you've got some very special people you want to make Christmas cards for. I have, and I'll bring these in so you can see them side by side. Hopefully you can see the difference. But in the Christmas class that I have going at the moment, it's 20 Australian dollars. So I'm not sure. I think that might be around 13 US. I'm not sure. I'll have to do my currency conversion, and I think that's about £10, I think. We go in and, like I said, we do some underpainting, so we get a nicer blend in his coat than what we would see. I think you can see the difference between the two. We get a nicer blend going on. We've got and I do a little bit of underpainting in the gifts as well, and then we do some highlighting and adding some depth with our coloured pencils. So I've used a white, a brown, a dark blue and a purple pencil in this one here, So if you're ready to take it, and of course we've done some grounding. So if you're ready to take that to the next level, you want to move from your beginner. I know it doesn't look like there's a lot of difference, but it's a fun and enjoyable process, and hopefully you learn a little bit more just to oomph it up a little bit. And also, excuse me if my arm's in the way there, you can also colour these guys on crumb cake as well, and that's coloured in exactly the same way, no different to how I coloured in these guys. And with the white, anywhere where it's white, I've actually just used a white pencil, so you can upgrade them as well. So anyway, I will pop links to those, to the class, in the description of this video. So hopefully you've enjoyed this very impromptu live of our Santas. I'll bring him in. That's the one we did just now. That's the stepped up version. So yeah, thanks very much, and I will hopefully get back into doing some of the basic sides of the colouring in our group that I can give you for free. Okay, so thanks very much. Hopefully that you'll catch the replay. I think it's almost 2 p.m. for me, so it's probably sleepy time for a lot of you. And we will see you again, and happy colouring. Oops, I have to stand up. I was going to go and try and switch it off on my screen, but I can't do that. I have to switch it off on my phone. Okay, thanks very much, and yeah, have fun. See ya.